All right, let's do one final piece of sound. For some of you, you've been going back and thinking about the Obama administration a bit, and I don't know if everybody remembers, but there was this big thing that Obama was going to have death panels and blah, blah, blah. And, again, the proper left answer is that private insurance is a form of death panel in and of itself, literally a parasite industry that is trying to leverage basically selling you a product and then not providing those products and services to you.
Yeah, their decision, the panel's decision in that case is easy. Do you have money to pay us? Yes. Oh, you get to live. No, you die. There's the death panel.
Right. And even if you do, you're probably going to go in debt for life. And yes, and a lot of those death panels are not even, the big melodrama with Obama is going to be some group of evil doctors. Those death panels are more like you're calling customer service, and somebody who probably could barely afford a healthcare themselves is telling you, no, your kid's going to die. So yes, there are tons of death panels. I will say, though, to be fair, as they say, I believe Rahm Emanuel's doctor brother, was somebody that the right wing was very fixated on back then. And he has actually himself said in the last couple of weeks that we need to question the value of life above a certain age. So maybe psychologically, they were intuiting something correct about the mindset of these people. And, but of course, it's coming from the right. So not a very actual strong interest in human life. And here is Ben Shapiro, who I have practically seen be on the border of saying that's, like masturbation might be a form of abortion. This guy takes this really seriously. That's wasted sperm you got there. Here he is with Dave Rubin, with maybe a little bit of a different perspective on the sanctity of all life.
Has he got a booster seat?
He does. He does have it. It definitely looks like there's something going on there. Very appealing looking.
Balance the risks and rewards here is a difficult thing. The easiest thing you can do is say all damages caused are caused by the pandemic. All of the good things that are happening, like you being alive, that is caused by me, right? It's sort of the Gretchen Whitmer strategy in Michigan. And that's a very easy thing to say. But in reality, not only are there countervailing issues on the other side, such as the fact that, people are going to lose their jobs and their livelihoods and their dreams, and quality of life actually matters. But none of these governors are going to keep things locked down forever. Andrew Cuomo.
I'm sorry. This is a small point. I think we're all guilty of this sometimes, but countervailing forces on the other side is like a great filler of pseudo-intellectualism. He made an actual point there when he's talking about people losing their jobs and the economic consequences and so forth. And obviously that would be solved if we just gave everybody healthcare and UBI. But do you see how that's a very intuitive point? There's nothing novel about what he's saying, and everybody has observed this across the spectrum. But when you say countervailing forces, that gives you a patina of you're saying something that's actually new and insightful when you absolutely are not.
Well, there's 4 syllables in that word.
Right.
And quality of life actually matters. But none of these governors are going to keep things locked down forever. Andrew Cuomo, when he said just save one life, 5 days later, he's saying we're going to open up parts of New York State. Okay, so which is it? Obviously that means that more people are going to be infected. So we're always going to make this public policy consideration. Nobody just wants to say the obvious truth, which is that we're all making actuarial deductions about what are the costs in terms of how many human lives, how many years of life, because that is an actual issue in actuarial tables, right? If somebody who is 81 dies of COVID-19, that is not the same thing as somebody who is 30 dying of COVID-19. If this were killing children, everyone would be in for lockdown forever. That's the reality, right? If a bunch of 5-year-olds were dying of COVID-19 and people were saying get back to work, everybody would be like, nope, I'm not letting my 5-year-old die. If grandma dies in a nursing home at age 81, that's tragic and it's terrible. Also, life expectancy in the United States is 80. So that is not the same thing. In moral terms, you want to save every life you can. At the same time, to pretend that it is of the same calculation, the age of the person, no public policy acts like that. Not a single public policy in American life acts like that.
Well, look, again, this is actually a good case, though, of if you're only working against the Andrew Cuomo's of the world, you have a lot of material here. because it is true that everybody's making calculations like that to some extent. And it is true that if you don't just say, basically, look, if you need to be out working, we're going to treat you incredibly. We're going to quadruple your salary. We're going to give you every protection imaginable. Everybody, and it's going to be federally mandated at severe punishment that Amazon or Target or UPS or or FedEx or anybody else who gets an inch out of line will face the most punitive, vicious consequences. Everybody's getting everything they need. And everybody else, if you can work from home, a lot of people can, that's fantastic. But if not, you're going to, look, it's going to be interesting. Cool your jets for a year. Here's a couple grand a month. Don't worry about rent. And that's it. I mean, literally, this is no problem. And then, yes, there's macroeconomic questions about, and then several months or a year in, how do you start to open up? How do you balance that with civil liberties? What are the longer term economic changes with different social habits? Yes, these are big and serious questions. But the choice of rushing a reopening is only created because of austerity policies. And of course, we can talk. I mean, the hypocrisy is obvious, and there was all this right-wing fear-mongering about death panels, and now it's like a consensus right-wing position to sacrifice grandma's life. However, or risk sacrifice unless you're Ainsley. That being said, if the only argument on the other side is let's just prolong the lockdown without any social strategy, that argument, as despicable as it is going to have hay.
Yeah. I mean, I like the word austerity because it shows that this is a choice and this is an active thing that they are doing to people. It's not just the way of the world or whatever. It's also insane to me that they are willing to throw old people under the bus like this when, by and large, Trump's voter base tends to be more elderly. I guess
they're making
we'll see.
A class calculation. They're making a class calculation.
Yeah.
That wealthier, older people are going to have better health insurance. They're going to be more easily able to self-isolate and so on.
I mean, they might be right about that. We'll see. Also, when he said actuarial tables, I think wherever he is, Sam just felt a stab of sciatica.
Actuarial table. I like what he said. Well, actuarial tables, actually.
Yeah. That's why he likes them.
Yeah. All right, guys.